So you finally got a job. After hundreds and thousands of job applications, you finally got a response from a company. You read the email and you're very excited because they accepted you. You prepare yourself for the interview and do your best. When you finish the interview, the hiring manager seems impressed. And you finally start the job. And it sucks. Your first week in your first job is the scariest thing you'll ever go through. It's not like you're just doing a chore your mom made you do. Now you have actual responsibilities, and if you mess up, you'll probably get fired. Depending on where you work, they'll either train you properly by themselves or they'll have you do some sort of online modules where you have to go through some course. And if you're smart, you'll get through this training very, very fast and start getting to work. When you're new, your manager and your coworkers will help you whether they like it or not. You aren't going to struggle that much since you're always getting help. Once the week starts to wrap up and you've done your shifts and you reach the end of the week, the actual reason you did all this hard work for starts showing up in your bank account. Oh hell yeah. You're finally making that money. You're spending all your money on whatever it is you're into. You're checking every store, adding everything to cart. That thing you've been waiting to buy once you got the job, you finally get it. Assuming you aren't trying to buy a car or something. Once you have cash, you'll feel like you're on top of the world with 211 and 68 cents. Regardless of how much money you have, you'll probably be flexing it to all your friends, your family, or whoever else you have in your life. Having money that you worked for just feels so rewarding. It feels like a drink of cold water after a long day of exercise. The relief of finally getting the money you work for just feels so good and amazing. But then, reality hits. If you got all this money, you still have to keep working after this day, which means that you have to keep working for the money. But you don't want to think about that because you're just flexing all the money you already have. Just enjoy that money and worry about it next time. Making money on a job is great and all, but you still kinda have to balance work and school, which sucks like in school you're probably very tired. You have to go through all the lessons your teachers do, they'll probably give you some homework to do at home. But after school you have to go to work. And that starts being annoying very quick. Instead of going home to play some games, relax, maybe do a bit of homework, but let's be honest, who actually does homework when they get home? You go home, get dressed up for your job you have to do, and show up to school the next day, regardless of how tired you are. You can't focus at all, you can't process anything. This is the hardest part about working a job while you're still in school. It's not just annoying and very draining, it also kind of just pisses you off. Your success in school gets worse because you're too tired to do any work. So you'll probably start failing or doing worse in some classes. But hey, at least you're making money, right? I mean, when has that ever been a bad thing? Since it's your first job, you don't want to try too little. After all, you're paranoid because if you mess up too much, you're probably gonna get fired. So you try way too hard. And all of a sudden, they expect you to do damn near everything in the workplace. They expect you to clean this, clean that. They expect you to run this machine, run this. Your manager can and will expect you to do far too much work above your pay grade. When I used to work at a job, I was getting paid less than anyone else I worked with, but anytime I was there, they expected me to do way more work than they did. If you mess up, pray to God that whoever manager you got isn't someone who will genuinely slime you out and fire you over a tiny mistake. I was lucky in my first workplace. Although my manager didn't really like me that much, he didn't really get super upset at all because he was like, I don't know, like 2 years older than me, which is kind of weird if you think about it. This is why whenever you ask someone like advice for working a job, they will always tell you like 100% of the time that you shouldn't try too hard. Like do just enough that you're not going to get fired, but don't do way too much that they expect you to do too much every single time. All in all, by the time you're at this point, you probably have no other choice but to suck it up or move to a different job. So beggars can't be choosers, man. You'll maybe find a balance with work and school work. You'll still do worse at school and work, but at the very least, you'll handle it much better, I think. If you don't have friends or hobbies or anything like that, working a job is going to be the easiest thing you'll ever do because you literally don't have anything else to worry about. You can just pour everything into your work or schoolwork. At this point, you've probably been working months at this place and you just really only care about the money. You probably know pretty much every person who works with you, you know, like every single guy in there. And money is genuinely the only thing that keeps you going. And you don't care about how hard work is. You don't care that you're probably getting paid way less than you should be getting paid because at the very least you're getting paid. You're just glad you can make some money, you know? And you're more than happy to spend it. When you have a job while you're still in school, you can't help but wonder if you'll just keep doing the job until the day you die. Of course, you probably shouldn't, because that's dumb. Everything in school starts becoming a blur and you're just way too tired to do anything at school. If you're smart, unlike me, but if you are smart, you're probably gonna like handle school and work really easily. I mean, you really shouldn't be working like a full-time job during high school anyways. At work, you're gonna deal with annoying customers, your manager being annoyed, and people expecting you to do 1 million things at once, despite the fact that you're not a robot at all. You tell yourself to just suck it up and ignore it all because at the end of the day, you're getting paid and you're getting money, so who really cares? I mean, why would you complain about getting paid? And then when you're at school, you're gonna have to deal with a teacher who's doing the exact same thing, expecting you to do a billion things. Or not, depending on how good your teacher is. Anyways, in conclusion, when I used to work at a job, the only thing I ever cared about was the money. In my workplace, the person that I worked with would basically just gas me up for some reason. I'm not sure. I think he was doing some kind of weird manipulation tactic where he kept telling me that I was good at the job so he could just keep expecting me to do everything. Anytime I worked with him, I don't really think he did much. I think he just kind of sat there and did things as slow as possible while I kind of did it faster than he did. So, well, fuck that guy. That guy just made me do everything that he was supposed to do. Uh, the best thing to do as a student, if is to work a job but don't do full-time hours and just do it like once or twice a week. Make sure that you're like more focused on your studies because like part-time job is money that's like short term. You don't really need all this money. If you want to like buy a PS5, you can get a part-time job. You know, that makes sense. But don't pour all your time and effort into a part-time job because that's just a waste of time and money. I mean, not money, because you're making money. Cut that out. It's a waste of time, is what it is. Because as a young buck, a young kid, you should stay in school. So in conclusion, money is good. I love making money, but focus on your school because that's important, I think. Yeah. Focus in